Let's look at the second section now, the VLR section. This section has a conventional CAT section with a breakup as you can expect in the past papers of CAT with 10 questions of RC in 3 passages and 9 questions of LR in 3 sets of 3 and the remaining questions are from English usage. Okay. Let's look at each question now. Question 31 is a parajumble question. Okay. Let's go to the statements. In some political theorist hypothetical universe, it may be illegal to control immigration, but in real world controlling immigration is a precondition of preserving a liberal society. Statement B. The beginning of wisdom would be to distinguish between the various categories of migration, asylum, family reunification, EU and non-EU, for work and for study, and especially to separate students from others. Statement C. Since I am critical of British government policy, let me start by first recognizing the problem. Statement D. Witness the recent Swiss referendum vote to limit the number of EU citizens entering Switzerland. E. Immigration is now among the top concerns of voters in Britain, as in most Western democracies. While doing the paper, I could not solve this question. I read the statements a couple of times, but since I could not, so I left this question unanswered. But after the paper, when I was going through this question again, I could identify one clue clearly. Look at statement C, and we then look at statement A. Statement C says, since I am critical of British government policy, let me start by recognizing the problem. So, statement C is talking about recognizing some problem. And when we go to statement A, the problem is given there. In some political theorists' hypothetical universe, it may be illiberal to control immigration, but in real world, controlling immigration is a precondition to preserving the liberal society. That means the problem that he is talking about is how to control immigration. So CA became a key item for me out here. So when I'm looking at this combination that CA is a mandatory pair, and I go to the choices, choice A becomes incorrect. Choice B has CA with it, so it is possible. Choice C also has CA, and choice D does not have CA. So A and D are incorrect, while B and C are correct. The secondly, which is visible from the choices when I was solving the question after the paper is both the choices have C, A, E, D. Choice C as well as choice B, both of them have C, A, E, D. So, which means the problem then reduces to saying where should B come? Should it come in the beginning or should it come in the end? Now, when you look at statement B says the beginning of wisdom would be to distinguish between various categories of migration, asylums, etc., and especially to separate students from others. Now, when you read the complete statement, you will find that it does not logically follow D, or it does not come out as the closing statement. Hence, it has to be taken as a opening statement, and hence B would be the correct choice. Okay. This is one key thing which was visible to me when I looked at the statements, that CA is a mandatory pair. Similarly, later on, after when I looked at the solution also, that ED is also mandatory pair was visible. Though it was not visible to me while I was doing the paper, once I saw it, it did make sense. Statement E says immigration is now among the top concerns of voters in Britain, as in most Western democracies. Witness the recent Swiss referendum. So he's talking about immigration being a key concern in most Western democracy, and an example of that is given in statement D. So whatever is given out here, this is an example of that, and hence ED again becomes a mandatory pair. Nevertheless, this was a difficult question, and if you have not marked an answer to this question, it should not be an issue. Let's move to the next question now. Question 32, another question of parajumbles. Let's go to the statement. Statement A. Even if we dismiss all of this, citing inefficiency of a fertilizer, power and transport sector, there are other compelling reasons for not pricing gas purely on the basis of supply and demand. Statement B says that leaves domestic demand and supply. So supply and demand has been mentioned in statement A as well as in statement B. Maybe there's something common to these. We'll have a look at it later. Statement C. Today there is a serious supply shortage in the domestic market created by the very entity which now claims a higher gas price. Okay, statement C. Statement D. First of all, in the absence of global market prices, global demand and supply would be irrelevant for pricing gas in the Indian market. Now, this is a statement which I can connect. It starts with first of all. There is a first of all it talks about the global demand and supply situation, and then it talks about in statement B that leaves global demand and supply. So while statement D is talking about the global demand and supply, statement B mentions talks about the demand and supply situation in domestic market. So DB should logically come together. Let's look at statement E also. Statement E says Reliance Industries Limited had claimed it would produce 80 million metric standard cubic meter per day of gas, even went ahead and did cross-country pipeline for the KGD6 well to transport this quantity. Okay, now that we know that DB has to be together, we can be very we can go to the choices and eliminate the incorrect option. So DB is available in choice A, in choice B, not available in choice C, so it is incorrect, available in choice D. Okay. So let's go through the statements again. D talked about the demand supply situation internationally. B then says that leaves global demand and supply, that leaves domestic demand and supply. Okay, and C says today there is a serious supply shortage in the domestic market. That means DBC has to be together. So rather BC has to be together. So it should be DBC effectively. So DBC is available here. DBC is not available in choice B. DBC is available in choice D. So your answer is either choice A or choice D. Now that we have decided that DBC have to be together, let us see whether A should come before D or A should come, or rather, oh, actually we can see that ADBC has to be together when you look at the two choices. Looking at the two choices, ADBC have to be together, which again leaves us with E. Should E come in the end or E come in the beginning? So now let's look at statement E and see where should it come. Should it come before A or should it come after C? Okay. Statement E is talking about that RIL had claimed it would produce a higher amount of gas and even had built a cross-country pipeline. Let us look at these statements A and C now. Statement A talks about even if we dismiss all of this as inefficiency, etc., there are other compelling reasons for not pricing gas purely on the basis of supply and demand. Statement C talks about today there is a serious supply in the domestic market created by the today there is a serious supply shortage in the domestic market created by the very entity has to be Reliance, which has now created a higher gas price, which means C and E have to be connected, which means the correct answer has to be choice A, that C and E have to be connected. So we can say that statement E talks about Reliance, statement C talks about the entity, obviously it has to be Reliance. Okay, so the correct answer is choice A. Question 33. 4 statements are given below labeled A, B, C, D. 3 statements need to be in a logical order to form a coherent paragraph. So identify the statement which does not fit the sequence. Let's go through the statements. Statement A, serving as an important Soviet naval base, it used to be a closed city for years. So some city used to be a closed city for years. Statement B, citing the collaboration of the Crimean Tatars with the Nazis, Joseph Stalin ordered the whole ethnic group to be deported from Crimea to several Central Asian Soviet republics. Okay. Statement C, adding to the confusion also was the status of Soviet era Sevastopol, which not only remained the largest Crimean city but also retained its special strategic and military profile. Statement D, in 1948, Sevastopol was separated from the surrounding regions and made directly subordinate to Moscow. Now, statement A talks about a closed city. It says it used to be a closed city, a Soviet naval base. Now, statement C also talks about its special strategic military profile. So, statement A and C we can say are connected. Statement A and statement C are connected because The word it possibly refers to Sevastopol. It is talking about the Soviet naval base, and statement C also talks about the fact that it retains a special strategic and military profile. Okay. Statement B is talking about a issue which is not connected to any of the other three statements. When you look at statement A, C, or D, none of them is talking about Crimean Tatars or the removal of this ethnic group to other parts of Soviet. So statement B seems to be incorrect as far as this paragraph is concerned. It seems to be the odd person out. Statement D, if you look at in 1948, Sevastopol was separated from surrounding regions and made directly subordinate to Moscow. This is also connected to the other two. One, because it is talking about the same city, and second, possibly because it being a strategic military city or because strategic military profile, it had to be directly under the control of Moscow. But whichever way I look at it, at the end of the day, statement B is talking about an issue which is removal of Crimean Tatars from Crimea to other Central Asian republics has not been discussed at all in any of the other statements. Hence, the correct answer has to be statement B. It is not connected to the other three, while A, C, and D can form a coherent paragraph. Let's move to the next question now. Question 34. A similar question as the previous one. We need to identify the statement which is not connected to the other three, or the three statements which form a coherent paragraph. The one statement which is out of context has to be removed. Okay, statement A. Hard water contains metals like calcium, magnesium, strontium, and iron among others. Statement B. Researchers suggest that Roundup or glyphosate becomes highly toxic to the kidney once mixed with hard water. So hard water is mentioned in statement A as well as statement B. All with metals like arsenic and cadmium that often exist naturally in the soil or added by fertilizer. Statement C. On its own, glyphosate is toxic. Again, it's talking both statement C and B are talking about glyphosate, but not detrimental enough to damage the kidney issue. Statement D. The World Health Organization has found that CKDU is caused by exposure to arsenic, cadmium, and pesticides, in addition to hard water consumption, low water intake, and exposure to high temperatures. So here you find that hard water is a component in statement A, statement B, and statement D. But there's this item called CKDU which is available only in statement D. Similarly, when you look at this term glyphosate, it is available in statement C as well as B. So my starting point here was that statement B and statement C have to be connected. On its own, glyphosate is toxic but not detrimental enough to damage kidney tissue. And statement B, researchers suggest that Roundup or glyphosate becomes highly toxic to the kidney when mixed with hard water or metals like arsenic, cadmium that often exist naturally in soil. So statement B and C have to be connected, because while statement C is saying it is glyphosate is toxic but not detrimental, when mixed with hard water it becomes highly toxic, is what comes out of statement B. So B and C have to be connected to each other. That leaves us with statement A and D. Now between A and D, I would eliminate D for the simple reason that CKDU is not at all mentioned anywhere else except in statement D. Secondly, statement A is giving me the composition of hard water, that hard water contains these kind of metals. So to me, A, B and C form a coherent paragraph, while statement D is out of context and should be the correct answer, which means statement D does not form a coherent paragraph along with A, B and C. A, B and C together will form a coherent paragraph. Question 35 to 37, the first RC passage. Okay. Now when I was going through the paper and I quickly glanced through the passage, I realized that this is a passage which talks about the ban on Wendy Doniger's book, The Hindus and Alternate History, and because this is a issue which I am aware of, it has been covered extensively by different newspapers, so I was sure that once I finish my round 1 of usage and do a couple of sets of LR questions, then I will come back and do this passage, because an issue which I am very comfortable with. In any case, those of you who have read this passage will have found this passage to be easy to read. Okay. Let's move on to the questions. I am sure all of you have gone through the passage. Okay, let's look at question 35. Which of the following option would the author agree with? Most agree. Okay. Choice A. Dictatorial and pro-nationalist regimes have historically been known to be against books that do not fully subscribe to their limited perspectives. I'm not sure if this is correct. The it seems to be correct, but I would want to verify it with the data given in the passage, for which we'll go back to the passage later on. But at this point of time, I'm not eliminating the choice. Choice B, books should be banned only if reasonable amount of people have read it and if it hurts the sentiments of the masses. No, the author has not given us any reason for banning of books. It has only talked about that books should not be banned. It has not given any data or any reason for which a book should be banned. Okay. While he has said that people who have not read the book are the ones who are banning it, who are going against the book, it does not. He has not said if you have read it, then or if it hurts the sentiments of masses, then you can ban it. Okay. Choice C. People such as Ayatollah Khomeini, who oppose the Satanic verses, would not have done so had they once read Rushdie's books. No data to support this. So statement C again is incorrect. Statement D. A creditable democracy is reflected when a book that presents a perspective different from the popular opinion is not banned. Okay, so we are left with choice A and D. Let's go back to the passage and check out between these two, because when we are talking about choice D, possibly the place where it talked about the Supreme Court case is where we need to look at. And in terms of choice A, I would like to look at, while in case of choice A, I would like to look at, has he specifically mentioned dictatorial and pro-nationalist regimes? I can't remember the word pro-nationalist anywhere in the passage, but I would want to verify that also. Now, when we look at this last couple of lines of this paragraph, to quote the Indian Supreme Court judgment in Union of India versus Association of Democratic Reforms, one-sided information, disinformation, misinformation and non-information all equally create an uninformed citizenry, which makes democracy a farce. Freedom of speech and expression include the right to impart and receive information, which includes freedom to hold opinions. So when you compare this with statement D, it is exactly what the statement D is saying, that if you don't want the farce of a democracy, perspectives or different perspectives should be allowed and opinions which are contrary to popular opinion should not be eliminated. So statement D is correct. Statement A, when you go through the passage, you realize that while in thought this is what the author might agree with, but nowhere does it talk about specifically dictatorial or pro-nationalist regimes. In a way, to look at another way to eliminate this option is also to say this is possibly making it very narrow, and between A and D, D can be directly inferred from the passage, while A is something which you is an extension. Okay, and specifically in terms of the passage, no data to support that he's talking specifically about dictatorial or pro-nationalist regimes. Okay. So the correct answer is choice D, but I'm sure many of you would have possibly marked choice A also. So here in this question, people would have been stuck between choice A and choice D, and your luck, which one of the two you would have marked. Question 36. With reference to satanic verses, it can be inferred that the author was mainly trying to establish which of the following points. Now, before we solve this question, let's go to the paragraph it started, which talks about the satanic verses. Look at the second paragraph of the book of the passage. Book purges and burnings have been a staple of regimes trying to establish authority and legitimacy by ensuring there can be no criticism against them. Salman Rushdie, another proscribed author, writes about becoming in his memoir. It says, Iranian man on his deathbed. So what is the reason for putting it? It is to give an example of this. So the book Satanic Verses is an example of whatever is mentioned in the first 2-3 lines of paragraph 2. Book purges and banning have been a staple of regimes trying to establish authority and legitimacy by ensuring there can be no criticism against them. Let's go to the choices now. Choice A, book purges are supported by those who have never read the book. This is not the reason why this example was given. Choice B, book purges by regimes are symptomatic of the fact that the administration wants to establishes authority and authenticity and authority. This is what the first couple of lines talked about. Staple of regimes trying to establish authority and legitimacy, okay, by banning books. So statement B should be the correct answer, but let's check out the others also. Choice C, book purges can drastically affect the life of an author. No, it is narrowing the scope and the scale significantly, so it is not the issue. Statement D, book purges can lead to destruction of superior literature and do not reflect well on the progress of the societal mindset. Again, in thought, this could be correct, but purely when I am looking at it is correct in general from the author's point of view, but we are looking at with respect to the satanic verses, the issue which is at hand is that book purges are by regimes that are symptomatic, that are trying to establish authenticity and authority. Okay, so statement B is the correct answer. In this also, it is possible that many of you may have marked D. So here, in this question, I am sure many of you would have been stuck between B and D, and which is what, if you look at, makes this passage difficult. Easy to read, but there are two questions which kind of lead you towards the wrong answer also. 2 out of 3 questions at this point of time. Let's look at the third question. Question 37. At the end of the passage, which of the following questions would you most logically ask the author? What would I like to ask the author about something which he's talked about, something which he's said but maybe not explained, or ask him to give an example of whatever he has said. Okay, you can look upon this again in a way as in a way of para completion, that we look at eliminating choices, so it has to be of the same scope. So scope of the question and the passage has to be similar. Also, what I would want to look at is that an example of what the author has said could also be asked for. Okay. Again, in terms of scale and tone, we don't need to worry too much about these. So it is more of scope and example which I would be looking at. Choice A. How do ideals of Hinduism match ideals of freedom of speech? Choice A will be incorrect because the author has not talked about it at all. He has not talked about ideals of Hinduism. So choice A is out of scope. So this is incorrect on account of scope. It is out of scope. Hence choice A cannot be the correct answer. Choice B. What are the specific narratives that Dr. Doniger brings in that challenge Hindu epics and history? Has the author said that Doniger challenges Hindu epics and history? Let's just verify from the passage before we mark an answer. Now look at this last paragraph. The author says, I offer you a slightly different argument in defense of her book. Dr. Doniger's book does not do Hinduism a disservice. It calls for action against historical priestly expurgations that have accompanied evolution of Hindu epics and history. She reinjects the lost narratives of Dalits, women and some lower caste, narratives that were removed by design. So she's not challenging, she's in fact, let me say, adding those components which possibly have got left out in the past. Okay. So it is not challenging, it is possibly making it complete or adding to the things which are mentioned already. So choice B is incorrect because it is in a way not in sync with what the passage is saying. It is actually opposing what the passage has said. Choice C. What are some of the other religious texts that have been affected by priestly expurgations? Yes, this could be asked, but frankly speaking, this is not within the scope of the passage. Okay. The scope of the passage is on the book by Dr. Doniger on the reason for banning it. So I would say choice C is also incorrect on account of scope, which leaves us with choice D. But before we finalize this, let us look at the question also, choice D also. Choice D, how have male Hindu priests sanitized the textbooks to suit their agenda? This should be the correct answer, and again if you look at the last paragraph, this is what it talks about. She reinjects the lost narratives. This is what the author is saying, that Dr. Doniger has reinjected the lost narratives of Dalit women, lower caste, narratives that were removed by design by some Hindu male priests who sanitized the books. So the question logically should be, how have these books been sanitized? How has the Hindu history or how has it been sanitized? So choice D can be the correct answer for question 37. How have male Hindu priests sanitized the textbooks to suit their agenda? Let's move to the next question. Okay, I'll just repeat last part. Now just to repeat, 3 questions in this passage, which was easy to read, but 2 questions had close choices, and which is what would have made this paragraph difficult. If you have been able to handle this passage well, then you can be reasonably sure that you have some good control over reading comprehension. Let's move to the next passage now. Mukti Moshai, just before his death, prepared a will for distributing his wealth among his 4 children, Sonal, Kamal, Leela and Panchu. He considered 3 parameters: age, education, qualification and income while making the will. The ratio in which distributed his wealth among the 3 parameters in the given order was 5:3:2. That means on account of age, 50% of the wealth was distributed. On account of education, 30% of the wealth was distributed. On account of third thing is income, 20% of the wealth was distributed. For each of the 3 parameters, the wealth allocated to that parameter was distributed among the 4 children in the ratio of 1:2:3:4. Okay, that means out of the 50% on account of age, 1 by 4, 3, 7 to 9, 10, 10% of 50% of 5%, the ratios become 5%, 10% of the total wealth, 15% of the total wealth, and 20% of the total wealth. 20, 10, 30, 30 and 20, 50, yeah. Okay. So out of the total wealth on account of any parameter, this will be the breakup. Statement 2. On the age front, the oldest child got the highest, youngest child got the second highest, and so on. So older you are, the more you get. On the education front, the most educated child got the highest amount, second most educated the second highest, and so on. So the higher the education, greater the amount you get. On income front, the child with least income got the highest amount, the second least the second highest. So the less income you have, the greater is the amount you get on that account. The total wealth that Mukti distributed among the children was 200 lakh. So if I look at 200 lakh, this 200 lakh was distributed in the 3 parameters: age, education, and the third parameter is income. On account of age, 50% of the wealth was distributed, which is 100 lakhs. On account of education, we had, if I remember correctly, yes, it was 30% and income was 20%. So 30% of 200 is 60 lakhs and income is 20% of 200, which is 40 lakhs. So this is the breakup of income on account of the 3 parameters. And what was the breakup? The breakup was the ratio of 1:2:3:4, which means the highest would be 4 by 10 or 40%. So 40, 30, 20, 10. So the oldest child got 40 lakh, the next older one got 30 lakh, the youngest child got 10 lakh, and the remaining one 20 lakh. On account of education, it is again similar. It will be 24, 40% of 60 is 24, then 30% is 18, 12 lakhs for the third person, and 10% of 66 lakhs for the last one. And again 40% of 40 lakhs is 16 lakhs on account of, for the person that the person who has the least income gets 16 lakhs. The next one will get 30% of this, which will be 12 lakhs. Then there will be 8 lakhs and this will be 4 lakhs. So this is the way income has been distributed. In case of age, the older you are, the more you get. In case of education, the more educated you are, the higher you get. In case of income, the less income you have, the more you get. Yeah. So let's look at the questions now. Question 38. If the share of Sonal, Kamal, Leela and Panchu was 56, 34, 66, 44 respectively, whose income was the least? Let's check out. So just to save time, I have this table with us. So 56, 34, 66 and 44. Now let's write down the distribution which was to be on the basis of age. So on account of age, education and income. On account of age, the distribution was 40, 30, 20 and 10. Okay. On account of education, the distribution was the education, the most educated got 24, the next one got 18, the next one got 12 and the least educated got 6. Similarly, on account of income, the distribution was 16 for the person who was the poorest among the four, the next one 12, the next one 8 and the person who was richest got only 4. Okay, so we should make cases and check out which ones would satisfy these conditions. So let's start with the smallest one. Kamal getting 34. What are the possible combinations? If Kamal has got a total of 34, that means this 40 is not possible for Kamal, even 30 is not possible because 30 plus 6 plus 4, even the lowest of the other two will make it to 40. So what is possible for Kamal? So when I'm looking at Kamal, what are the cases possible? Let's check that out. You can have 20. Obviously with 20 then these two go out completely because we need 34. So 26 and 8. So one possible combination to Kamal is 20 on account of education, 6 on account of 20 on account of age, 6 on account of education and 8 on account of income. Is there any other combination possible? Let's check that out. With 20 there's this combination. What about 10? Okay. So we have a 10, 12, 12. So there are two possible combinations for Kamal, 10, 12 and 12. So two possible combinations for Kamal, 26, 8, 10, 10, 12, 12. Let's check out for the next highest then now and see if there's some way we can eliminate one of the two earlier ones. Now Panchu had 44. Again, Panchu having 44 means he cannot have 40 because 40 would mean the other two being on 4 and 0, not possible. Okay. Again, if we look at the option with respect to 30, with 30, 24 is not possible, 30, 18 and 4 not possible because that makes it 42, we need 44. So 30, 12 and 12. Okay. So with 20, 20, 12 and 12. So 20, 12 and 12 is possible. And 12 is one possibility. And is there any possibility with 10 also? Let's check that out. So 10, again we need a total of 44. So let's check out. It will be 10 plus 24 is 34, nothing possible. 10 plus 18, 30, 28, 28 plus 16. So 10, 18, 16. This also gives us 44. Now let's compare. Now that we have made the possible cases for Kamal and Panchu, let us see if there is any inconsistency and if we can remove any one case. Let us start with Kamal being 10, 12, 12. If Kamal is 10, 12, 12, there are two possibilities. 10, 20, 12, 12 and 10, 18, 16. But if Kamal is 10, 12, 12, then these two 12 are not possible. So 10, 12, 12 and 20, 12, 12 are not possible. What about this 10, 12, 12 and 10, 18, 16 is also not possible because this 10 and this 10 is common. So Kamal cannot be 10, 12, 12, he has to be 26, 8. Since he is 26, 8, that means Panchu cannot be 20, so this combination goes out. So effectively Kamal is 20, 6 and 8 and here it is 10, 16 and 10, 18 and 16. Now let us fill up for Sonal and Leela also. Now in terms of age, we have already eliminated 2, 20 and 10. On account of education, we have eliminated 6 and 18, so 6 and 18 are gone. On account of income, 8 and 16 are gone, so 8 and 16 are gone. So if I have to get 56 for Sonal, it can be 40, 24, 54. 54 plus 12 or 54 plus 4, both of them are not possible. So let's look at the next combination with 40. 40 plus 12, 52 plus 12, 64 is not possible. 40, 12 and 4, that is 56. So there's only one combination which gives us 56. So 40, 12 and 4. And if you want, you can fill up the last one also, which is 30, 24 and 12. The question was, whose income was the least? Income has to be the least of the person who's got the highest amount, that is Panchu. Actually, we did not need to fill up. The moment we got that Panchu is 16, we should have marked the answer as Panchu. So I went through the process to show you that we can fill up the table if required, but as far as the question is concerned, the moment you identified the Kamal had to be 26 and 8 and Panchu had to be 10, 18 and 16. 16 is the highest one can get on account of income, so that means 16 goes to the person who has got the least income, so it has to be Panchu. Let's move to the next question now. Question 39. If Panchu was oldest but not the most educated, then the share of Panchu could not be equal to what? Okay. Let's again write down the basic data on account of age, education and income. The split is 40, 30, 20, 10. On account of education it is 24, 18, 12 and 6. On account of income it is 16, 12, 8 and 4. So Panchu was the oldest. So Panchu is oldest, so he is definitely getting 40 from here. These three are not relevant. Okay. But not the most educated. If he is not the most educated, so while Panchu will get 40 on account of being oldest, since he is not the most educated, he will not get 24. Okay. Then share of Panchu could not be equal to. So effectively you need to check out, on account of age he is getting 40, on account of education he will get one of these three numbers, and on account of income he will get one of these four numbers, sorry. And check out which one does not, which of these numbers is not possible from the choices given. For example, 40 plus 18 is 58, 58 plus 16 is 64, 74. 74 is possible, so 74 cannot be the answer. Okay, so 40 plus 18 plus 16 is 74. This is minus 12. So while this is giving us 74, this will give us minus 4. 16 to 12 is the decline of 4. So 70, 66, 62. So 66 is also not possible. We have done it with 40 and 18. Let us do it with 40 and 12. So 40 plus 12 is 52. 52 plus 16, 62, 68. So 68, 64, 60 and 56. So 68 also is possible, so that cannot be the answer. 3 choices gone, the remaining choice becomes the answer. And so the correct answer is 72 is not a possible amount. The last question of the set, question 40. If Leela's share was 46 lakh, then which of the following must be true? Again, as for we'll have to work similarly as we have done for the first question of this set. Just jotting down the data again. So on account of age, education, income, 40, 30, 20, 10. Education was 24, 18, 12, 6, and this was 16, 12, 8 and 4. So if Leela has 46, which of the following must be true? Let us see in how many ways can we get 46. Combination is a sum of 46 possible. 46 is not possible with 40 at all, because 40 plus 6 plus 4, the least one will also add up to 50. Let's start with 30 now. 36 and 4 is not possible, that makes it 40. 36 and 8 makes it 44, with 36 is not possible again. The third one, 30 plus 12, 44, or 42 plus 4. So one combination for 46 is 30, 12 and 4. Okay. So 30, 12 and 4 is one possible combination. Obviously all other combinations are going to be higher than 46. So with 30 only one combination is there. With 20, let's see which is possible. Again we are looking for 46. So 26, 20, 18, 38 and 8, 46. So 20, 18, 8. There is a hit and trial which you will have to do. And similarly the last possible combination is 10, 24 and 12. Okay. So on account of age, on account of education, on account of income, these are the amounts which Leela can get if the total amount she received is 46 lakhs. Okay. Which of the following must be true? Leela's income is the highest. Leela's income cannot be highest, because if it was highest, she would have got 16 lakhs on account of income. She is not getting in 16 lakhs on account of income in any of the cases. So, not possible. Choice B. Leela was older than at least two of her siblings. On account of age, Sheila can get 10, 20 or 30. That means she could be the youngest also, she could be second youngest, she could be the second oldest also. So even statement B cannot be correct. Statement C. Leela was more educated than at least one of her siblings. On account of education, Leela can get 12, 18 or 24. That means on account of education, Leela is here. That means at least one of her sibling has got less education than her. Even if she's got 12 only, there's someone with 6, so Sheila is more educated than at least one of her siblings. That finishes this set. Question 41. Question of para completion. Let's read the paragraph and then go to the choices. Loved by millions around the world, the Glenmorangie distillery is the area's biggest tourist attraction. Large groups descend on the visitor center for a peek into how barley and mineral spring water, Glenmorangie's water source is the Tarlogy Springs, get turned into an extremely favorable, silky smooth amber liquid, all for 5 quid. And the fact that you can sample a dram of the 10-year-old original plus taste any additions from the entire Glenmorangie range at the distillery shop for extra just makes the deal sweeter. Okay. Let's look at the choices. But before that, the passage is talking about a particular distillery which is a tourist attraction and which is a very popular tourist attraction. Okay. It's talking about the distillery. Okay. And it also gives a source of water which is used, and that it's a very popular one. Let's go to the statements now. Question 41. Choice A. The distillery will run 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, with a little break around Christmas. The distillery will run, it is already running. Okay, so I'm not sure if this can be the correct answer. I would probably eliminate it because it is talking about the distillery will run, but the fact is it is already running, so future tense does not make sense. So purely on account of the fact that while the passages talk about something which is already in operation, choice A is talking about something which will be in operation in future, hence cannot be correct. Choice B. For those willing to make a weekend of whiskey experience, the house is a haven of hospitality. I am sure many people would have marked this as the correct answer, but the problem with this is specifically saying whiskey, which has not been mentioned in the passage at all. If you go through the passage, you will find that the word whiskey does not come anywhere. So by putting the word whiskey, you are actually lowering the scale, and hence it is incorrect. So the scale gets lower, or you can even say this could be incorrect completely because we don't know what is being manufactured there. We know it's a distillery, we know some liquid, but what kind of liquid we don't know. So scale, even if I say that it is whiskey is being manufactured, you are reducing the scale because it could be other kinds also which are manufactured. So whether on account of scale or on account of scope, either way you can say it is incorrect. Choice C. The summer season can get busy, so pre-booking the tour is a good idea. Now, the entire thing says it's a great tourist experience. It's a great tourist experience. There are lots of rush out there, and it's got a good deal for the people also. So why don't you pre-book and come in early? Otherwise, you will not get a chance to visit it. Could be correct, not 100% sure. So we'll leave statement C as it is. On account of continuity, it looks to be correct. So continuity is the issue which makes it look correct. But let's look at statement D also. If you feel like taking your nose away from your glass, there's plenty around town that can hold your interest. This is definitely incorrect. We are not talking about the town as a whole. This is incorrect because the scope has been expanded from distillery. The scope was distillery, and it has made to the entire city or the place or that place completely. Okay. So choice G has to be incorrect. Hence, the correct answer among these choices is choice C. Let's move to the next question now. Question 42, another question of parajumbles. Let's read the paragraph and then go to the choices. In addition, any tool that lends impetus to exercising control and authority becomes an agent of power. These tools include money, political access, and the use of force. Hence, when someone has money, we say he has power. These tools can be used coercively in relationships to assert domination. Whether these relationships exist on a micro scale between a husband and a wife or on a macro scale between various political parties, by narrowly defining power through the lens of domination, we limit the relationships of a society to a never ending struggle for influence and authority. Just to repeat, by narrowly defining power through the lens of domination, we limit the relationship of the society to a never ending struggle for influence and authority. Okay. Let's look at the choices now. Choice A. When viewed through a lens of dominance, there is an assumption that the relations between people must conform to dictates of the competition. This is incorrect. Let's just go back to the passage. The last two sentences, it is actually saying we should not narrow it down. The last sentence says, by narrowly defining power through the lens of domination, we limit the relationships of society to a never-ending struggle of influence and authority. So it is not in agreement with it, with the process of narrowly defining power through lens of domination. So because the last couple of statements say that we should not be narrowing the scope, and choice A continues with that narrow scope or the scale, and hence choice A is incorrect. Let's look at choice B. Allegorically speaking, one arm of body cannot be in struggle for power with the other arm. Choice B is going against the scope of the passage. Okay. This is a general conclusion which is drawing, but this is not what the passage is talking about, hence it should be incorrect. Choice C. However, this narrow view ignores the extraordinary potential of the human spirit, which has equal capacity for cooperation and reciprocity. Choice C again to me is out of scope, hence incorrect. It is talking about the extraordinary potential of human spirit, which has an equal capacity for cooperation and reciprocity. Again, we are changing the scope of the passage completely. We are going beyond what the passage is discussing, hence it has to be incorrect. By that logic, choice D should be the correct answer, but before we confirm it, we need to read it and see if it makes sense. If we find that D also does not make sense, then we'll have to look at the earlier choices and see which one is a better option. Choice D. Viewed through this lens, empowerment is seen as the rise of vulnerable and marginalized communities so that they assert more control and authority over decisions that impact their lives. Now this statement could be correct. This could be correct because in a way this is an example of the last line. So let's just look at the last line again. It says, we limit the relationship of society to a never-ending struggle for influence and authority. And it is then explained further by saying, viewed from this lens, that means it is seen as rise of empowerment is seen as the rise of vulnerable and marginalized communities. So in a way it is explaining the last line, hence it is correct on account of continuity. Okay, but I'm sure this question also would have been difficult. When I was doing the paper, I did not attempt, I could not get the correct answer. The logic which I have given to you is after I attempted the paper, I looked at the statements again and then based on that I got the answer. But while doing the paper, I left it because I was not sure of what the answer would be. Let's move to the next question now. Question 43, another question of para completion. Mo plans to produce, I hope my pronunciation is correct, I think it is pronounced as Mo Blanc, but I could be wrong. Plans to enhance the luxury experience for customers in India, where it first opened its boutique at Delhi's Maurya Hotel in the 90s. Today it has some 16 boutique stores in the country where demand for luxury goods is growing. Until recently, its presence in India was driven by Joshi, who was the exclusive distributor for the company. Montblanc is the second largest business owned by Richemont behind Cartier, accounting for 8% of its 10 billion euro sales. Besides pens, Montblanc sells a range of high quality men's lifestyle products such as watches, fragrance, and eyewear. Okay. So this is all about this company called Mont Blanc, Montblanc, whatever you might want to call it. Okay. And it's limited foray in India, which started in the 90s. Let's look at the choices now. Choice A. The joint venture route will help Montblanc avoid the 30% mandatory 30% local material sourcing norms applicable in case of 100% FDI. It is out of scope. On account of scope, this is incorrect. You have changed the scope completely. You are talking about something which is not there in the passage. Choice B. While India has been opening up its retail sector, the country generated luxury goods sales of just over 1 billion euros in 2013, a minuscule piece of 217 billion euro clocked globally. Again, out of scope. We are not talking about this particularly in a way. We are only looking at in a very limited manner from the point of view of this company and its limited for in India. Choice B has expanded the scope to the retail sector in general, or luxury goods sector, I am sorry, in general. Choice B hence is incorrect. Choice C. Mont Blanc CEO Jerome Lambert said that the firm's aim is to become a leader in men's luxury accessories. This could be correct because it is talking about the company per se and its foray into India. So on account of scope and on account of scale, on both accounts I think this is correct. On account of continuity and tone also it seems to be correct, but most importantly on account of scope and scale these two are correct, while choice A and B are incorrect. Choice D. Analysts opine that Indian luxury goods market, again we have increased the scope unnecessarily because it has increased the scope or gone out of scope of this passage, hence it is incorrect. We are not talking about Indian luxury goods market would be what 10 times etc etc. The correct answer has to be choice C. Let's move to the next question now. Question 44, question of fill in the blanks. Let's quickly go through the statement. The officials were of the view that it would invite criticism, and even if the dash were cleared by the cabinet, something were cleared by the cabinet, it was dash if the president would oblige the government by signing them. It was not sure, it was unsure if the president would oblige, it was uncertain. So the second word, unsure, uncertain, doubtful, undecided cannot be the right word out here. The officials of, just look at the second part again, were cleared by the cabinet. It was unsure if the president would oblige the government, or it was uncertain if the president would oblige the government, or it was doubtful. The three of them can be correct. So it is effectively going to be the first word which will decide. Choice D is incorrect because of the word undecided. Okay, let's look at the first word now. The officials were of the view that it would invite criticism, and even if the drafts were cleared by the cabinet, regulations were cleared by the cabinet, or ordinances. So it has to be ordinance was cleared by the cabinet. Regulation is a law in itself. Draft will not be cleared by the cabinet. Something which has gone beyond the stage of draft and then on the verge of becoming a law would be cleared by the cabinet. Okay. So it has to be the ordinance is cleared by the cabinet, but it was doubtful if the president would oblige the government by signing them. So correct answer has to be choice C. Question 45 to 47, another RC passage, and a short one. So many of us might have been tempted to do this passage. I'm sure you have read the passage, so let's go to the questions. Question 45. Which of the following options best explain the point that the author makes in the first paragraph? Since we are talking about the first paragraph, let us refresh ourselves and just quickly have a look at the first paragraph before we start answering these questions. The opening point raises the world's great quantitative easers, the US, Britain and Japan, for increasing growth. Okay. So first thing is the three countries US, Japan and Britain have been praised for increasing growth. A depth syllogism, albeit not mentioning the fact that crackpot central bankers have used funny money to get economy to where it is, that is on the verge of another crisis without sustainable growth and lots more debt in the system. So it's saying that while these three countries have been praised for increasing growth, Other issues have been ignored, which is like lots more debt in the system, and there's a no sustainable growth. That the growth might have been there, it is not sustainable. Then there's a lot more debt in the system. So it is still a issue which one needs to look at. Then it goes on to say, generously they name check China's continued solid growth, even though its developing banking crisis could yet induce global panic. So all he's saying is these three countries, US, Britain, and Japan, have been praised. China has been praised for continued solid growth, but there are issues which have been ignored completely. That there's a lot more debt in the system. China's banking crisis could develop into a global panic. Now, with this background, let's go to the choices. The choices. Choice A: the document referred to is flawed because it praises the world three great economies of the world. This is incorrect because we do not know which three great economies are there. We cannot assume that these three great economies are the three countries mentioned. They could be, they need not be. So choice A is incorrect because we cannot correctly correlate the three great economies or the three mentioned in the passage or mentioned in this choice with the three countries which are mentioned. So choice A is incorrect. Choice B: the document referred to overlooks a lot of important aspects in its praise for the three nations. Yes, this can be correct. It is praising three nations, US, Japan, and Britain, but it is overlooking lots of important aspects and yet praising them. So choice B can be correct. Let's look at the other choices. Choice C: the document referred to is unnecessarily generous in its praise of the Chinese economy. Now, we cannot be sure about this. The choice C I would actually eliminate because it says it is unnecessarily generous in its praise of the Chinese economy. It says there's a issue which is there, but is it unnecessarily generous? We don't know. In any case, between B and C, B seems to be a better choice. So in any case, I will eliminate choice C. Choice D: the document referred to does not focus on any real solution, or this is not what is the focus of the author in the first paragraph. In the first paragraph, the author is saying important issues have been overlooked and these three countries have been praised unnecessarily. Hence, choice B is the correct answer. Let's go to the next question. Question 46. What tone does the author employ in the passage? He's sarcastic. He's sarcastic. Remember, if you go back to the passage, the South Sea bubble which it talked about, the example which it gave, there's no room for complacence, blessing, etc., etc. This is there. And then he says, I know I can't make this stuff up. Back when the South Sea bubble was initiating in 720, a shrewd thief, etc. So he's being sarcastic. And hence, the correct answer is choice A. From your point of view, I hope all of you know the meaning of these two words, derogatory and admonitory. If you don't, please pick up a dictionary and find the meaning of these two words. Let's move to the next question. Which of the following options would the author most agree with? Choice A: Brisbane Action Plan. I hope you remember where Brisbane Action Plan was. I'll just go back to the paragraph and show it to you. Those of you have missed out this part, the part in italics. Okay. This explains the Brisbane Action Plan. These actions will form the basis of our comprehensive growth strategy and the Brisbane Action Plan. So this is what it talks about. What is very clear from this Brisbane Action Plan and author's view beyond that, when it talks about the South Sea bubble, that the author is not very enthusiastic about it. The author thinks this will not result in anything great and it could be another example of a South Sea bubble. So let's look at the choices. Choice A: the Brisbane Action Plan and the comprehensive growth strategies are indicative of shrewd and manipulative finance ministers. Incorrect. We cannot say, or the passage is not saying these are shrewd and manipulative finance ministers. We cannot hence mark A as the answer. Choice B: South Sea bubble and the current economic crisis have both been caused by shrewd bankers with a propensity to embezzle. Again, we don't know. At least we cannot say about the South Sea bubble being caused by shrewd bankers. There is no data to suggest, so B should definitely be incorrect. Choice C: the complacency of the finance minister in the G20 is likely to lead to an economic crisis of enormous proportions. It is likely to lead to economic crisis, but of enormous proportions we don't know. Choice C again looks incorrect but I am not eliminating it correctly. And while I have eliminated A and B completely, I am just saying let me just hold on and then go through choice D, and after that decide what is the correct answer. Choice D, the present promises made by the G20 communique are not very different from those in an embezzlement that took place in 18th century. Both of them talked about promises which could not have been fulfilled, hence choice D should be the answer, and hence C is incorrect. Set of LR questions, let us go through the data. 5 couples are sitting along a regular pentagonal table with 2 persons along each edge. Among the 5 couples, Achin, Vijesh, Chetan, Deepak and Ish are male members, and Asha, Bindu, Charu, Divya, Ela are the female members. Okay, so I could say the male members are A, B, C, D, E, and the female members are A dash, B dash, D dash, and E dash. Okay, just to make our life easier. Okay. Then we have data. Let us go through the data and see what are the questions that are being asked. Before we start solving, first question talks about who's wife of Chetan. Second, who's sitting between Deepak and Charu. Third, which of the following pairs represents a couple. Now, if you look at the questions, 2 out of the 3 questions want you to find only who are the people who are married to each other. And they are not interested in who's sitting. Only the third question requires you to find that out. So, let's see if we can do that first. So, if we have A, B, C, D, E are the 5 male members. And we'll start putting the female members in front of them. Okay, statement 1 says sitting on the same edge are neither the same gender not married to each other. Okay, Ish is sitting 3 places to the right of his wife Charu. So Ish is married to Charu. C dash. Okay, this is taken care of. Rajesh is equidistant from Achin and Ela who are not married to each other. Okay. Statement 4. Members of none of the couples except Asha and Brijesh are sitting next to each other. So Asha is married to Brijesh. Okay. So A dash is married to Brijesh. This is also taken care of. Deepak, who is married neither to Divya or Ela, is sitting 5 places to the left of Asha. So Deepak is not married to Divya or Ela. Okay. Which means Divya, D dash and E dash have to come here because they cannot come here, and similarly D dash and E dash, one of them is married to C and one of them to A. Okay. So Deepak is married neither to Divya nor Ela. Statement 6. Chetan is sitting 3 places to the right of Deepak and 4 places to the right of Bindu. So statement 6 does not help us significantly, but let's go back to the open statement, which is statement 3. Brijesh is equidistant from Achin and Ela, okay, who are not married to each other. So Achin and Ela are not married. So A, Achin is not married to E dash. That means E dash cannot be here, so it has to be here. So we have A dash and this is B dash. So we know who is married to each other, and this means we can answer 2 out of the 3 questions fairly fast. Now this is an advantage for you because we notice that if you have to find who's sitting where and there's only one question and you don't have sufficient time, you can even afford to leave. So it is always helpful that when you solve questions, please, especially when it comes to LR and DI sets, please have a look at the questions and see which ones are the ones which are easy and simple and take less time and can be solved. So the 2 questions which we have solved, who's the wife of Chetan? Chetan is C. C is married to E dash, which is Ela. So Chetan is married to Ela. Next question is about the sitting arrangement, so we'll look at that later. Third question, which of the following pairs represent a couple? Among these, both Bindu and Deepak are married to each other, Achin and Divya. We'll just confirm it. Okay. A and D dash, yes, so Achin and Divya are married, and B dash is married to Deepak. So both A and B. So 2 out of the 3 questions you find that we have done very fast. The third question, if we have to solve, we'll have to go through the process and solve it completely. Let's solve the third question also, which means let's find out the seating arrangement for these people first. Okay, now let's look at solving the remaining question, and for which we need to make this arrangement. I've just drawn this data and put the couples on top. Okay, so let's start with the statements. Now when I'm looking at these statements, to me statement 5 and 6 are the ones where I will start with. Deepak, whose statement 5 says Deepak, who's married to Divya, is sitting 5 places to the left of Asha, and statement 6 says Chetan, who's sitting 3 places to the left of Deepak and 4 places to the right of Bindu. What this is doing is this is telling me if I put Chetan, I get Deepak Bindu also, and because I've got Deepak, I will be able to get uh, the position of Asha also. Okay, so I will, so which is for me the starting point is one of these two statements. So statement 5 and 6. So let me start by putting 5 and 6, and there I am starting with Chetan. Okay, so Chetan, let me put him anywhere. Let's say Chetan is sitting here, but he could be sitting here also. So the second case is here. So Chetan is sitting either in this position or this position. We don't know which of the two. So there could be two cases possible, and let's see what we get out of that. So statement 6 says Chetan is sitting 3 places to the left of Deepak and 4 places to the right of Bindu. Chetan is sitting 3 places to the left of Deepak. That means Deepak should be here. So Deepak will come here, and he's 4 places to the right of Bindu. So Bindu should be 1, 2, 3, 4. So this should be Bindu, which is B dash. If you remember, I am putting a dash for the females and just the alphabet for the male members of this group. Okay. So statement 6 says Chetan is sitting 3 places to the left of Deepak and 4 places to the right of Bindu. So as far as the second combination, second position is concerned, this one. So Deepak will come here, 1, 2, 3, and Bindu will be 1, 2, 3, 4. B dash. So statement 6 is taken care of. Statement 5, Deepak, who's married neither to Divya or Ela, is sitting 5 places to the left of Asha. So Deepak is sitting 5 places to the left of Asha. So she should be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So Asha should be here in this case, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So if Deepak is to the left of Asha, Asha is to the right of Deepak. So A dash, we have the positions, two specific positions there. Okay. Statement 6. Members of none of the couples except Asha and Brijesh are sitting next to each other. So Asha and Brijesh are sitting next to each other. So if Asha is here, Brijesh should be here, because they cannot sit together. So Brijesh cannot be here because statement 1 very clearly says the couples are not sitting next to each other on the same edge. So Brijesh will have to be then here. And in this case, Brijesh, in the second case, Brijesh will have to be here. So statement 4 is taken care of. Statement 3, Brijesh is equidistant from Achin and Ela, who are not married to each other. Brijesh is equidistant from Achin and Ela. So if Brijesh is here, Achin Ela not possible at these two positions. Achin Ela is possible here and here. Yes, it is there possible. This is occupied by C, so not possible. This is occupied by D, so this is also not possible. So Achin and Ela have to be here or here. This is which means Brijesh is here, 1, 2 positions here, 1, 2 here. So these are the two positions for Achin and Ela. But Ela cannot be here. Achin will have to come here because Asha is here, and two female members cannot be on the same edge. Neither can two men be together. So Achin is here and Ela will have to be here. Similarly for the other one, we look at Achin and Ela being equidistant from Brijesh. This is not first immediate. These two. This is the only position where Achin and Ela are possible. These are the only two positions where Achin and Ela are possible. Again, Ela cannot be here. Achin will have to be here because Asha is here, and Ela will have to be here. E dash, sorry. This is E dash, Ela. Okay, so statement 3 is also taken care of. Statement 2, Ish is sitting 3 places to the right of his wife Chalu. Ish is sitting 3 places to the right of his wife Chalu. So where does Ish and where do Ish and Chalu then fit in? So the only 3 places which we have vacant are 1, 2 and 3. These are the only 3 places which are vacant for us. So Ish is sitting 3 places to the right. So if Chalu is here, Ish will have to be 1, 2, 3. Ish has to be here. So Ish is here and Chalu or C dash will come here. What about the second one? Again, the 3 vacant positions are 1, 2 and 3. So Ish has to be here and Charu or C dash has to be here, which means this combination or this arrangement is incorrect. This is incorrect because we have Charu and Ela coming together on the same edge, which is not possible. The only person who's left now is Divya, and Divya then has to be placed here, D dash. Now we can look at the question. Okay. Who's sitting between Deepak and Charu? Let's look at the table again. So who's sitting between Deepak and Charu? This is Deepak, this is Charu. Between the two of them, Divya is sitting. Okay. So statement, choice B is the correct answer. This completes the set. Let's move on to the next question now. Question 51. The word given below is used in given sentence in 4 different ways. Choose the option in which the usage of the word is incorrect or inappropriate. The word is jump. Now these questions I will only mark an answer if I am 100% sure. Many a times in this question you will read and you should leave if you don't have clarity, because it is very easy to get an incorrect answer in this kind of question. Okay. So let's go through the statements and we will mark an answer only if we are 100% sure, otherwise we leave the question. First, the statement A. With their aggressive sales strategy, the certain team got a jump on the other teams in achieving sales targets. I am not sure if this is correct usage or not, but since I am not sure, I am leaving it and moving on. All I am saying at this point of time, this could be correct, may not be correct, I am not sure. Let's move to the second statement. After giving the offer much thought, he jumped on aboard to help the company with its marketing campaign. This is definitely incorrect. You jump on board. You jump on board and not aboard. Okay? Or you jumped abroad. So it has to be one of the two. So this is definitely incorrect. And since this is the incorrect usage, this becomes the answer. Hence, while I am not sure about this, it does not really matter. Just to be on the safe side, I will also go through the other statements. Each disaster aid organization has been trying to get the jump on the other with Uttarakhand Mishra. He has a bad habit of jumping to conclusion before the discussion has ended. This is not an issue, but this also tells me I have got 2 usages which I was not very sure of. For future, I need to make sure I revise these so that I don't miss out on a similar usage of the word jump. So, has been trying to get the jump on the other, perfectly fine. So, I've got 2 new usages. Correct answer in this is choice B. Question 52. Similar question. This time the word is speak. And again, the rule remains the same. Mark an answer if you are 100% sure. If you are not 100% sure, leave the question and move on to the next one. There is no point in quoting her because she is already spoken for. Again, not sure if already spoken for is correct usage or not. So I will just leave it and move on to the next one. Statement B. The political analyst speaks by the book when he states that the recent debacle in Delhi elections could have been avoided. Speaks by the book is correct usage. I don't have any problem with this. This I know is an acceptable usage. So this cannot be the answer because this is a correct usage. You speak by the book. Choice C. He is a great admirer of your work style and always speaks well about you. You speak well of someone, not about someone. You speak well of someone. So this is definitely incorrect usage, and because this is incorrect usage, this should be the answer. But let's just look at the fourth statement, statement D also. He is an asset in any team meeting because he always speaks out when he believes in something and thus contributes to decision making. This is correct usage, which I am aware of. So in this question again, while I was not very sure about it, I have learnt another usage that she is already spoken for, which means she is already either engaged or married or has a partner. So this is a new learning for me. So both in question 51 with respect to jump, I have got 2 new usages which I need to revise regularly, as well as in this question I have got 1 new usage which I need to revise so that I don't forget this. Let's go to the next question. Question of grammar, 5 statements are given. We need to identify which statements are incorrect, and the choices have 3 statements each. So while my way of working in these questions is very simple, I will identify which statement I am 100% sure is incorrect or correct, and based on that try to eliminate the choices. Okay. So let's go through the statements. Statement A. However, even as government takes this principal stand, Indian crew and ships are engaging mercenaries for protection. Appears to be correct. If there is something wrong, I am not sure. To me, it appears to be correct. Okay. Statement B. largely stationed in Sri Lanka's Gal or Gale, I am not sure about the exact pronunciation, and mainly drawn from that country's retired naval personnel. Private contractors guard hundreds of Indian ships headed to ports from Salah to Dar es Salaam. Okay. Statement B appears to be correct. I can't find anything incorrect. In statement A, I can have issues. Maybe there could be problems here or engaging mercenaries. I am not sure. But B, I am not. I don't think there's any error per se. Let's move to the third statement. The Sri Lankan government licenses a corporation to transfer the guard's weapon in floating armories as ships arrive, and then hand these back as the ships leave, offshoring the lethal part of the business. No idea if there's anything right or wrong. So unfortunately for me, out of the first three statements, I am not able to identify any inaccuracy as such. Statement D. No one knows for certain just how often the ancient right of merchant ships to defend themselves from attack have been exercised. We are talking about the ancient right. We are talking about ancient right to defend themselves from the attack have been exercised. So it should have been has been exercised. So statement D is definitely incorrect because there's a singular out here but a plural out here. So this should have been a singular also. So statement D is incorrect. It should be a part of my answer. So D is available in choice A, C and D. So that means choice B is incorrect. Okay. Statement E. In 2012, one contractor alone reported 18 exchanges of fire with pirates. 18 exchanges of fire with pirate. Exchange of fire is perfectly fine since we are talking about multiple exchanges. So exchanges of fire with pirate should also be right. So statement E appears to be correct to me. So it cannot be a part of my answer. Statement E is available here. So this cannot be the answer and this cannot be the answer. So the answer should be choice C. Now this is the way I mark the answer based on whatever I could identify. Is there a possibility I could go wrong? Yes, there is a possibility, and which is where you need to exercise your judgment in question of grammar and decide whether you can take your chances or not. I took my chances because I am reasonably sure there is nothing wrong with E. If that is not the case, then obviously I have got the wrong answer. Fortunately for me, the correct answer is choice C, A, C, D. Now let's go through the statements A and C and see what was wrong in these two statements. In statement A, this should have been crews because we are talking about plural, multiple ships and multiple crew. So it should have been plural. So this was the error out here. It should have been plural. Okay. Statement B, there's nothing wrong. Statement C, the error is with the word licenses. The other error here is the word, it should have been LICEN. Okay. So the Sri Lankan government licenses the corporation. So this word licenses means to grant permission to do something. So the word should have been licenses, LICN, not CES but SES. Okay. Something which at least I need to revise regularly to make sure I don't mix up in these two words, licenses and licenses with S and with C. But if you are comfortable, fine. Otherwise, like me, you should also revise these regularly. Questions 54 to 57, the last IC passage. The first line of the passage told me this is a passage which can definitely be read. Anyone who's been reading newspaper regularly would be aware of this particular case of Miss Khobragade, the Indian diplomat in US, and hence this was something which I had to do. Okay, it was also helpful that this passage had 4 questions. Okay, let's go to the questions because I am sure most of you have already read the passage. Which of the following option best summarizes the main idea of the passage? Okay, before we answer this question, let us go back to the passage for a little while. The passage started with giving us the case of Miss Khobragade and what happened and what are the issues involved, and then it took another case of Vikram Seth, and possibly he's talking about decriminalization or criminalization of the gay sex issue which has been arisen, and then he summarized in the end. So when in this paragraph where the issues are being given in the first part of the passage and it's only the last paragraph which is summarizing To find the central theme or the main idea of the passage, I would look at the last paragraph first. Okay, so let's go through the last paragraph. In the end, those searching for answers within the four corners of law are setting themselves up for failure. Okay, if you are searching for answers within the four corners of law, you are setting yourself for failure. For the law is so severely limited and is part of a wider ecosystem of issues that are best resolved through a more holistic approach. So one thing he's saying is the current law is limited and a more holistic approach is required. As we tread in the new year, let us begin to view the law not as an end in itself, but as a mere spoke in the wider societal wheel. A spoke requiring constant reevaluation and recalibration. So when it comes to the law part, it needs to be reevaluated, recalibrated regularly. That might well be a good start towards appreciating that relativity applies not just to light but also to notions of fair and foul. Okay, so let's go to the choices now. Choice A. Notions of fairness appear to be predicated solely on the law, with commentators arguing endlessly whether or not there is a legal violation or not. Incorrect. Choice B. The law is not an end in itself, and there is a need to constantly reassess it and ensure that a wider approach to societal issues emerges. This is what the last paragraph summarized the entire passages, so this could be correct. But before we mark it as the answer, let's just hold on and go through the other two choices and then finalize. Choice C. Few people have dug deeper into the underlying social cultural malaise that triggers the issues in society in the first place. We are not talking, again, it is unnecessarily narrowing the scope. Incorrect. And again, few people, it's talked about two issues and it has not gone into a details of how many people or what they have done. Choice D. A socio-legal framework needs to be created to ensure that law is not only reformed but it also induces internal reform. The issue is not about reforming the law, but it is about, if you go back to the passage, last paragraph, it is that the law is limited, okay, and it needs a more holistic approach. Okay, so we are not talking about not only reform but also induces internal reforms. So choice D also is incorrect, and hence the best option is choice B, which says the law is not an end in itself, which is what the last paragraph starts with, and there is a need to constantly reassess it and ensure that a wider approach or more holistic approach to societal issues emerges. Let's move to the next question now. Question 55. In case of Miss Khobra Gade, it can be inferred she was wrong in the eyes of law but not in the eyes of her own government. I'm sure many of you would have been tempted to mark this as the answer, but the only problem is we don't know the opinion of our own government, of her own government rather. So this we do not know whether it is correct or not. She was wrong in the eyes of law in the United States, perfectly fine. But in the eyes of her own government, as per the passage, we don't have sufficient data. Now, those of you who would have marked this as an answer would have marked it on the basis of your knowledge outside the passage. Okay. Because the Indian government took a specific stance and you knew about it, hence you marked it as an answer, it would be incorrect because the passage does not give us the opinion of the government of Miss Khobra Gade at all. All it says is she was that the US government in this particular case was the one which felt she was wrong. So choice A is incorrect because we do not know the opinion of Ms. Khobra Gade's government. Choice B, she was granted diplomatic immunity after incident. This is very clearly mentioned in the passage. Which just go back to the passage. Yes, this paragraph, prompting the Indian government to simply requalify her as a diplomat so that she gets immunity. This was retrospectively. So she got immunity after the event. She was granted diplomatic immunity after the incident is perfectly right. But let's look at the other choice also. She had to reapply for diplomatic status. No, this is not mentioned in the passage. As a diplomat, she did not receive valuable financial support. Financial has not been mentioned at all, so we cannot take D as the answer. The correct answer is choice B. Let's move to question 56. It can be inferred that the point author tries to make in the fourth paragraph is that. Let's go and check out the fourth paragraph first and then decide what the answer should be. Oh. Okay, so this is first paragraph, this is second paragraph, this is the third paragraph, and this is the fourth paragraph. Let us read this paragraph and then decide. On the other side of the fence, however, we need to ask, was the response to the alleged felony, visa fraud, in which both parties were complicit, and failure to pay minimum wage, in terms of handcuffing and strip searching, proportionate? Okay. That means, is the response of the US government proportionate to the crime? Why would such a diverse range of illegal acts automatically answer to the charge of crime, with all its attendant public shaming consequences, without regard to the nature and the gravity of the offence? Okay. So this paragraph, paragraph 4, in this paragraph the author is questioning the proportion of response, the response of the government in this particular case was disproportionate to the act, and that is what the author seems to be questioning. So let's go to the choices and check out the answers. Miss Khobragade was illegally detained. No, she was not illegally detained. She was detained as per law. The author has a problem with the law. That's a separate issue. Choice B. The response of the government on the other side was hasty and hurt Indian sentiments. Hurt Indian sentiments, it is extending the scope or the scale significantly, and hence this cannot be the correct answer. You may want to hold on with this, that's another issue, but not a very good answer in any case, because hurt Indian sentiments, we are extrapolating things significantly. Choice C. The reaction of the other government to Khobragade case was limited in its understanding. This is between B and C. I would be more inclined towards C, because this is a more nuanced statement. Choice B is unnecessarily attributing to itself what the Indian sentiment would be. The passage does not say it. So between B and C, I am eliminating B and keeping C with me. Choice D. The retaliation on both sides of the fence has been questionable in the eyes of international law. We have to restrict ourselves to the fourth paragraph. So the fourth paragraph is not talking about retaliation on both sides. It is talking about the overreaction possibly of the other government in case of Ms. Khobragade. So D cannot be the correct. And in any case, international law has not been mentioned at all. So it is also incorrect on that account, and hence the correct answer is choice C. Let's move to the next question, or the last question of this passage, question 57. In case of both Khobragade and Seth, the author would agree with which of the following options? Choice A. Based on the judicial system, one cannot find recourse in the law. This is very generic and hence incorrect. The author has talked only about two cases, and we cannot extrapolate those two cases to all the cases. So based on the state of judicial system, one cannot find recourse in law. So I would say he is unnecessarily increased the scale. The scale is significantly beyond the passage, and hence it is incorrect. Choice B. The use of law in both cases has led to criminalization of those who do not deserve such categorization. This is what the author is actually talking about. That whether it is the case of Vikram Seth or the case of Khobragade, possibly these are not which deserve to be called as criminal acts. So B appears to be correct, but let us look at the other choices before we come to an answer. The reaction in both cases has been based on an adherence to archaic laws and the inability to distinguish between crime and an illegal act. Archaic laws. In case of Ms. Khobragade, was it an archaic law? We don't know. At least we don't have any data to support it. In case of Mr. Seth, it talked about an archaic law. Yes, possibly yes, but definitely not in case of Ms. Khobragade. So choice C is eliminated because it is talking about archaic laws about which we are very sure. In one case we don't have any information, that of Ms. Khobragade. Choice D. Judicial and legal systems need to be forced to introspect and archaic systems and functioning to be changed. Again, too wide, too broad, it has expanded the scope significantly, hence choice D is incorrect because of significant increase in scope of this passage, so incorrect. Correct answer, choice B. Questions 58 to 60, set of error. Let's go through the data and then decide how to take it forward. 5 friends A, B, C, D and E study in 5 different colleges. LLM A, LLM B, okay, C, D and K. Not necessarily in the same order. During the last winter vacation, they visited 5 different places: Haridwar, Ranthambore, Jaisalmer, Kashmir and Goa, not necessarily in the same order. Each of the 5 places famous for different tourist attraction among pilgrimage, ice hills, desert, beach, and tiger reserve. And then we have data. Okay. It is also known okay. So it also that I'll just read. Okay. Now there is data. Okay. So we need to go through the data and fill up the table. Okay. So let's go through the data and then decide how to fill up the table. Akki who studies in K visited Goa. Dabbu went to Ranthambore and which is famous for desert. Bittu went to the place which is famous for tiger reserve. So the starting point first has to be to create a table like this. Just make a blank table like this. Go through the data and start filling up this table. Okay. So Akki who studied in K visited Goa. So let's just put this data in place. Akki visited K. Akki who studies in K went to Goa. Okay. Second, Dabbu or D went to Ranthambore and famous for desert. Ranthambore is famous for desert and Dabbu went there. So Dabbu went to Ranthambore and which is famous for desert. Statement 2 is also taken care of. Statement 3, Bittu visited the place which is famous for tiger reserve. So Bittu went to tiger reserve. So Bittu went to reserve. Okay. Statement 4, Chilu went to Kashmir which is famous for beach. So Chilu, Kashmir, sea, Kashmir and beach. So he went to Kashmir for the fun of beach. Statement 5, the friend who studied in B visit the place which is famous for ISIL. So friend who studied in B went to ISIL. So the college is B and the attraction which is famous is ISIL. Sorry. He went to the place which is famous for hills. And the last, the friend who studied in C visited Haridwar. So the person who studied in C visited Haridwar. What is it famous for? We don't know. So now that we have gone through this data and filled up the table to the extent possible, the places which we still need to fill up are obviously Haridwar. We don't know where Haridwar will come, whether it will come here or here, and the other place is Jaisalmer. And among the attractions which we need to fill up, we don't know which one will be ISIL's, this one or this one, and the other is a pilgrimage. Okay. And obviously, when it comes to college, we still don't know where A, B, C, or D will come. Okay. Now let's look at this last 2 pieces of data which were there on the basis of last 2 statement. The person who studied in B went to a place which is famous for ice hills. So ice hills can come either here or here. Or rather, ice hills cannot come here because the person who's want this place is to be visited by the person who studied in K, which is Akki. So Akki went to K. So this cannot be ice hills. So ice hills will have to come here. And if ice hills is here, the only place which is left is pilgrimage. So obviously Goa is famous for its pilgrimages. So many people go there for worship. Okay. So you can have your pilgrimage in Goa. Ice hills is here, and we are left with the 2 places to be filled up, which is Haridwar and Jaisalmer. And since ice hills is here, that means the person who studied in LLMB is E. Okay. So we have taken care of this statement also. Now the person who visited Haridwar studies in C. So Haridwar can come either here or here. Okay. But the person who's here has to be studying in B. So Haridwar has to be here. So Haridwar is here. This is LLMC. If this is Haridwar, this obviously the last one will have to be Jaisalmer. and we don't know which of C and D, which institutes they studied in. They could be studying in LLM A or D. It could be any of them, one of them. Okay. Now let's go to the question and mark the answers. Who studied in LLMB? LLMB is E. Inu. Inu is the person who studied in LLMB. Which place is famous for his tiger reserve? Haridwar. Just check the table. Haridwar is famous for tiger reserve. And which of the following is the correct combination of person, college, study, place visited? Again, comparing with the table, you will find the correct answer is choice A. Okay. This completes the section. Now, it's over to you for the review of the section.